Hey, everybody. Welcome to Extreme Passport. I've got one of my dear friends, EJ Synder. For some of you that might not know who he is, I'm just going to let him open up and give you a little bit of a brief background on EJ and how he does what he does and where he's from and what he's all about. Welcome,
Hey, what's
EJ.
going on, everybody? What's up, America? Hey, I'm EJ Snyder, and for those who don't know me, I spent 25 years in the United States Army. I served in the 91 Gulf War and also Operation Iraqi Freedom. I retired at the rank of Sergeant Major after 25 years, and seen a lot of dirt out there on the battle, led a lot of great people. But the greatest thing that I think came to me was I was in the infantry. I was in a lot of airborne infantry ranger units, but I taught survival when I was a ranger instructor. And I've always been an outdoorsman since I was 8 years old. And when I got in the Army, I learned formal survival training. That just became my passion. So when I got out of the Army, I was blessed to be a contract instructor for the Special Warfare Center out at Fort Bragg, teaching SEER, which is teaching soldiers and really future Green Berets for me, how to survive behind enemy lines. It was a great opportunity. Well, while I was out there, I was doing some TV stunt work, acting, and tech advising on TV and film in Hollywood and all over the place, New York and everywhere in Hawaii. And that was one of my dreams as a kid, besides being a soldier. So Discovery found me, and they tried me out for a show called Duel Survival to replace one of the original hosts. And I came in second place for that one, and they loved me so much. They were like, hey, we got a really crazy thing for you. It's a new survival show. We think you'll be great. Next thing I know, I'm buck-ass naked, sitting out in the middle of Africa in Tanzania with a strange woman I didn't know. We were each handed one item each, and we had to survive 21 days. Thus, the birth of Naked and Afraid. I've been blessed to be out there 4 times on Naked and Afraid. I did the very first man to do 21 days, first man to do it twice when 3 people quit the Amazon. I went in there with a lady named Laura Zera. Kelly Neitlinger and I did the first one. Then Laura and I came back. We're the first 2 people to do it twice.
Right.
And then both of us got asked to do the 40-day Naked and Afraid XL Columbia Challenge. And then Laura went on to do 2 more. And I just got done a month ago filming Naked and Afraid alone. I did 21 days in the Bulgarian mountains, surviving on my own. I finally went on to host Duel Survival for a full season, season 9. And lastly, I did the first season of First Man Out with Ed Stafford, which was an amazing survival one-on-one race through the Thailand jungles. So that's a little bit of my background. I'm a professional survivalist, consultant. I instruct survival. I do trekking. I do motivational speaking. I write for several different magazines on everything survival, adventure, and knives. You can go to my website, ejsnyder.com, to link up with me on social media and find out everything about EJ. So that's kind of who I am. That's the short version of it. It's a lot, but hey, at 54,
hey, listen, 25
you see a
years in the
lot of things on
military,
this
there's a lot
planet.
of
I'm trying
stories.
to suck the bone marrow out of life.
Right. So tell me, how do you set yourself up when you know you're going out to these, stints that you're going to be put out there for 21 days, and what's the mental? How do you prep yourself to get ready to do that in between a health regimen and just just mentally preparing to be able to take a challenge on?
Well, the 21-day challenge in itself is a very real challenge. A lot of people say, "Oh, reality TV, it's scripted." This is the most real survival challenge out there. You test yourself on every level, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So, it's about going through life and going through the challenges of life. That's how one develops mental toughness. And, physical toughness, it's just got to get in the gym. That's one thing that you can take care of is what you eat and how you, work out, stay in shape. In a survival situation, you can make it a lot easier on yourself if you're in shape and you're healthy. So what I do to prepare for these things is, I do survival all the time, so I don't really adjust anything. I may do an area study on the fauna, the wildlife, maybe the ancient people to learn a few tricks before I go in. And then I put on some weight. For these particular challenges, I try to put on, if I can, 1 pound a day for when I'm going to be out there.
Right.
Normally about 20 pounds for 20 days. For the 40-day, I actually put on about 30 plus pounds.
Yeah, from my standpoint, that's the smartest thing to do, because like when I did Extreme Chef, they were all making fun of me because I was overweight, but I lost 26 pounds after the month of filming and being out in the elements in Thailand and the jungles. I did. I lost 25 pounds in the whole of that during the time of filming that.
Because and my theory on that is if you hit your primal survival weight, everyone has that weight. When you're eating like a cave person and you're eating just meat, vegetables, everything pure, no additives, none of this stuff that you see out in our supermarkets,
Right.
you're eating right off the land. You're going to get to a weight that's sustainable and is meant for the situation you're in. And for me, it's always between 200, 205 pounds roughly. Every time I got out, I lost a bunch of weight, and I hit that in that mark window, and really stabilized after that.
So when you get back, do you just go like crazy binge eating hamburgers and ribs and all that good stuff?
I always spend about a week eating just whatever I want. Don't worry about it. And then I try to tailor it back. My body with my metabolism, the way it works is after a 21-day challenge, it takes about 6 months, which I'm at the 6-month mark now, to start regulating itself. You wind up, whatever your weight was normally, whatever you put on to go out, you wind up getting back to that same number and then plus a little for me.
Right.
So now I'm actually going back down, trying to get back down to my 240 mark, which is normal for me. So, I have to wait for my body's metabolism to rework itself out. For the 40-day, it was almost a year.
Really, really. I know it took me a long time, and then it balanced out. But in between the things that I do, my metabolism sets at a mark, and then it'll stay there. And then if it's wintertime, of course, and that Thanksgiving holiday, I always fluctuate. I get 10 pounds, and then I lose it real quick.
Yeah.
With temperate climate.
But I know I love this challenge, this series. I was the poster boy and still am for it.
Right.
Being the original, most thing I love the most and proud of is that two things. One, that other people got to do this challenge and have a once-in-a-lifetime experience since me and Kelly got it right.
Right.
And then two, I've gone on to consult for the show for casting, and I actually interview people that are trying to get on the show to see if they have the chops to get out there and make it happen. I don't make the final decisions, but I'm a little bit of the gatekeeper. If you don't show to me or display the right skill set or mindset to get out there, I got to be honest, and I'm not going to send you out there because I put a burden on the crew as well as the other partner if I let somebody just get through there that's not qualified.
Oh, no, that all makes perfect sense, So like when you were out there, like for me, I look at it and I remember the first episode you were on and, the pain and suffering you went through. I mean, it was like first day out the gate, you got that big thorn in your foot, I think. And, I don't know if it went septic or whatever, but I know it was a complication for you to be able to finish the challenge.
It got close. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you make shoes? And it says, yeah, that's really easy to say when you're eating a pizza and drinking a beer sitting on the couch.
Right.
You're not out there. You shouldn't judge these people. It's a highly edited TV show, but it is very real. And, Tanzania on the dry season on the lower plains does not lend itself for bark to be very workable to make shoes.
Right.
When you're trying to get to water and you're trekking 5 miles, you don't need to be out on the savannah, in 115-degree heat, wondering about chopping bark off a tree and sitting in the hot sun for 2 hours just to, gain a little speed. Just suck it up and brace the suck. It just seemed that the bark in the area where there was water was actually more natural and was more pliable. The other trees the bark and everything was just so dry.
It's basically like petrified.
It wasn't lending itself to make shoes.
Right. So like, out of one of the craziest cool meals that you thought to yourself, it was like, okay, well what was the best experience? Like good ingredients you got and like the best meal you ever ate out of any of these shows you've done that you were able to pull together?
Whatever was the best meal out there?
Yeah. Well, for you, like, out of ingredients, out of any of the things that you've done, what was the best memory of food that you were actually able to procure out there?
In terms of food?
Yeah, for yourself, like, this was a big score that day. What was that prize protein?
Each episode we've always, that I was in every challenge, there was always a highlight meal and a crappy meal or something like that. Like for instance, in Tanzania, we wound up eating some catfish out there, and that was the first time I ever ate catfish, and it was delicious.
Really?
I never had ate catfish before, and it was the first time, so that was great. And then Kelly had a bright idea to boil up some tadpoles and make some tadpole soup.
Right.
Worst thing that ever passed across my gullet ever in my life, and still is the worst thing I ever ate on the series. When we got in the Amazon, there really wasn't anything bad we ate there that I could remember, but Laura one day got this wolffish, and she put this guava fruit in the belly. She wrapped it up in banana leaves and clay. We slow baked it for about 25 minutes. Man, that thing was delicious.
That sounds like something I might cook.
Than the eel.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, yeah, for me, it'd be like, freshwater eel or some type of fish like that, especially catfish is it's going to be really good. Because I watch the show and I'm jealous of all you guys watching. I said, I don't know, I could do it. I could do it, but I don't know. Being naked and
Man, that first eel I got in the Amazon was hibernated. Never shocked me. That when
no,
me and Jeff ran into the eels in Colombia, oh man, those
they
things.
pack a punch, huh?
Oh, they do. They do. They're very tasty, but you have to work for them, and they
Right.
hurt. They hurt bad.
It's not a free
Uh,
meal.
it was a good meal though. That was very tasty. The first one we cooked up, we got a little. We felt it was a celebration meal, so I cut the mango slices and made little shish kebabs and did took a little book out of old Terry French there, and cooked the mangoes in with the eel, and it just was so good.
Yeah, I know we've talked about things over the years, and I'm always asking every time you're going out. It's like, okay, and he's like, hey man, it's like, well, if you see this is what go for this and make it great. I mean, fascination for me to do this type of environment and be out there and like what I'm known for being this guy that's like always cooking rats and rodents and bats and everything else in the world. Because that's what everybody asks me. I'm like, oh well, I talk about making a hamburger and just some chicken and rice too. But I heavily agree with you. Tadpoles. I tried that when I was about 12 years old to make tadpole soup, and I didn't like it either. I know you said that, and I'm like, I haven't thought about it. But I used to take turtle and use the shell as the pot, and break it down and
Yeah,
put it over the fire, and then take root vegetables and sassafras roots and put it in with the lake water, boil it up, and then put the meat in, and then make a soup right out of the whole animal and the shell. Everything to go together with that. One of my buddies asked me today, he says, you still make that soup like that? It was amazing. And I was doing it
yeah.
when I was 12. I mean, it was pretty curious to
That's
me
awesome. Yeah,
with that.
I remember seeing on there. Kelly asked me, "What do you think?" I was like, "I'd rather eat a pizza."
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
and I gave the whole rest of the thing to her. She loved it. But and uh, and then I remember one of the producers mailed me a frozen Chicago thick dish pizza because he said a little note saying, "I remember you saying you'd rather had a pizza out there, so we're keeping our promise to you."
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, like talking about survival, like now we're going through this really crazy period around the world and different things for a lot of people, mentally and actually, everything in their lives are being affected right now. In your mind, and like in Carolina, where you're at now, what do you, I mean, from your point of view, how should people be reacting right now? Like they're making runs on grocery stores.
Yeah,
What is it that somebody needs basics? For me, it's like you need rice. I mean, ramen's always a good thing, to have around because it's quick and easy and you don't need a lot of things besides water. If it came to water treatment plants being shut down and that type of thing, being able to understand how to get water, fill your
right.
bathtub. Like, a lot of people, have this weird thing about preppers, but preppers are there. And truthfully, this is the first time I know in our
Preppers aren't
lifetime.
worried about what's going on at the moment because and preppers, they call it what it is. Any good survivalist is always prepared. And so things like this happen. It's like, yeah, okay, we just put our action plan into place.
Right.
You got to look at this thing. First off, coronavirus.gov, there's all the things you need to be doing that the government's putting out, which is exactly correct how people have to act with this thing. It's the panicking that's not useful. It's the panic shopping. This isn't a hurricane. This isn't an earthquake. The food shelves are going to stay stocked. What the hell are you doing with a case of toilet paper? I have no idea. It makes no sense to me. But my point is, you look at this thing with the cores of survival: shelter, food, water, and then fire, which may not be such a necessary thing because power's not going anywhere. But if you're told to shelter in, which is bugging in, you want to make sure for this thing right now, there's a lot of 2-week lockdowns going in. It may go 30 days. So you want to look at that situation. The water's not going to be that big of a problem because you're going to have it out of your faucet. It's not shutting down.
Right.
I know people being out of work. So I know a lot of utility companies are saying call them. They're not shutting anything off. Make arrangements to take care of your payments later on. So you're going to have water. You have a shelter in the home. With the shelter, you want to sanitize things. All the metal, all the plastic, this coronavirus they're finding out can sit for 24 hours alive on cardboard. It can
Right.
sit. It can sit for it stays in the air, like if somebody coughs, for anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours before it falls to floats around till it falls to the surfaces. Plastic and most metals, it's there for up to 2 to 3 days living. So disinfectant wipes and wiping in one direction.
Right.
Clearing everything off, wiping in one direction. Don't go.
No, not redirecting.
Wiping in one direction. Washing the hands. You know, I got Germex in my pocket. I use that handy sand. You go to the bathroom, a public restroom, if they're still open or whatever, turn the water on. Make sure you have your paper towels ready to go. Wet your hands. Nice hot water, as hot as you can stand it. You know, don't want to scald it. I'm not saying scald your hands, but just say make it as hot as you can. If you can't find hot water, any water is good. Put the soap in your hands and then, you know, scrub them for, they say the alphabet twice.
Right.
And then get in between the fingers and everything. Wash in a downward motion and rinse off in a downward motion. Dry your hands. Use the paper towels to shut the water off. Throw it away. Gone. But do it in your home. Once you wash your hands, you know, if you touch anything else, if you haven't washed your hands, keep your fingers out of your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your ears. These masks that people are wearing. If you're sick, like they say, wash your hands, don't touch your face. And if you're sick, cough, cough into your elbow. Cover your mouth in with your hand, then rewash your hands. Cough into, you know, a cloth if you have one. But if you're sick, wear a mask so you don't get other people sick. That keeps the droplets.
Right.
But if you're not sick, wearing these masks that people buy, unless it's pharmaceutical seal, like the N95 respirator mask that seals around your nose and mouth,
right,
the droplets are coming in. They're not helping.
Right.
If you have to travel public transportation, like a bus or a train or an airline, if you do, bring the wipes with you. Wipe everything down before you sit down. If a movie theater's open, wipe the chair down. Anywhere you're going to be sitting, touching, wipe it down and then let it dry before you sit. That's the rule. You let it dry.
Right.
So those are some basic things people can do. With food, like you were saying, some staples. If you're going to be prepared to hang out in your house for 2 weeks to 3 to a month, if they decide to lock everybody in, which I'm against.
Right.
You know, life goes on. You need to continue, you know, practicing social distancing. That's, you know, and do all those other things I just said. I got a fire truck coming.
It's okay.
See? Life
Understood.
goes on. Fire
Life
truck.
goes on.
God help that. Hopefully it's nothing serious. But so with food, staples are good, but people are, I know, buying some silly things like the toilet papers. And cleaning is good. You don't need all these fancy cleaners. Just good old bleach or cleaning vinegar works. You know, Lysol's good to keep the air clean. Make sure your air filters in your house are changed out. You know, maybe they're supposed to be good for 30 days. In this case, maybe change them out every 2 weeks. You know, buy the cheap ones are fine. And then with food, you know, like you said, rice, top ramen. People are buying canned foods, but if you're buying stuff that you don't normally eat, after this thing's over, you're going to have wasted your money. It's going to be sitting on the shelf. You're going to donate it somewhere, I guess. But,
right.
You know, beans are good protein, rice, ramen. You know, people are buying milk by the gallons and freezing it. Actually, frozen milk is good for up to, I think, 3 to 6 months after you thaw it out, supposedly.
Right.
Good
But there
luck
are
with
some
that.
concerns about produce too, and people handling the produce as they go touching avocados, touching the lettuce and that they should use a plastic bag when they're handling this, because I mean, you bring home that lettuce, you need to watch that lettuce because there's been 100 people touch it to see if they even want it in the first place. So
Looking
produce
that, right?
is a very big danger with the spread of this, as so many people always touch all of that. Same thing with canned goods. People pick them up, put them down, pick them up, put them down.
Exactly.
So these are the things to look for.
Have gloves, plastic gloves that you're going to wear going into the store.
Yeah, you can buy those latex gloves and just have them with you. Take them off, go shopping with those, take them off before you get back into your car and go home.
Or get another plastic bag from the produce section and check everything with that bag.
Right.
When you get home, you know, you clean everything. You wipe everything down before you put it away and recontaminate another surface. There's been some findings with everybody wants to save the earth with the plastic and reusable plastic and all that. And I'm all about that.
Right.
But what they found, these reusable grocery store bags, like you said, produce goes in there and stuff. It's got viruses and germs on it, and it goes into the bag, and they don't clean the bag, and they keep putting.
Oh yeah, the reusable bags, that they take with them to go shopping at Aldi's or whatever it is. Yeah, these bags, they don't sanitize them, so they're just spreading more disease around.
But that's a great point, Chef. You know, you see people over in the produce. Oh, let me check out this apple, this avocado, this banana.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think of it from a standpoint, hey, I'm sitting with a plate of food in front of me, and I have 50 people walk by, and they put their finger right in the middle of your food. You're going to want to eat it. I just visualize it and say, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I clean that up. When we talk about strategic things that are going on around the country right now, in between medical units, and I've got some, a buddy of mine's a White House chef. He's talking about the support and the strategies in between getting the military fed for the different medical hospitals, temporary hospitals that are putting up for the testings and stuff around the country. What do you hear about any of that that's going on as far as the strategic planning
Well, I
within the
think the
government?
government's doing the right thing. I mean, they want to nip this quick and get it done fast, so they're taking some drastic steps, mobilizing some military hospitals and that stuff to handle cities that are going to be greatly impacted just based on, this thing might be mutating. They say, I don't know. It's kind of aggressive and it's contagious. So that's one thing. But they're moving some hospital ships one into New York City and one somewhere in California, and one of the big areas there. They have 1,000 beds on them. They're incredible.
Yeah, the
A
USS
mass unit.
Comfort, I heard, and I think a couple amphibs that they're looking at putting in
Yeah,
for
I'm not,
facility.
but that's what I've heard. It's like everyone else on
Right.
the news. I just know that the military medical units can mobilize very quickly and get a lot of beds in place very fast. These mashes, and we're not currently at any major fight right now other than what we're finishing up. The other thing I want to point out is, take these precautions like they're saying very seriously. But however, this thing has possibly been around since January, moving around. The flu has also been moving around the same amount of time.
Right.
So the thing that baffles me, and I'm not saying it's right, wrong, one's worse, or, well, one is worse than the other. The flu is actually killed 10 times the amount of people at this moment than the coronavirus has killed.
Right.
One death's too many, in my opinion, whether it's for the flu, someone getting hit by a car, or this coronavirus.
Right.
And it's always a sad thing, the loss of life. And I applaud the government for how they're handling it, but I do scratch my head. Part of me scratches my head. It's like, the flu is significantly just as bad and is doing more damage, but you're not hearing about it. So my point is for people to make sure where you're getting your information. You're not passing rumors around, that you're getting, hard facts about this thing for you and your loved ones, and you're staying on top of it.
Right. I mean,
But
there's
the
a lot of
government,
conspiracy and a lot of different talk going on right now, and people are making
yeah.
stuff, but this is causing some of this, panic and people for the rushes on everything that's going on, but there's not real clear understanding. But not to spread rumors is a very big thing.
Yeah, and so my point too is, the government's putting out great action things for we should do in normal life anyway to keep everyone healthy. Washing your hands, doing these things you should do every day of your life.
Well, these were things they're taught in grade school.
Good person about not spreading germs around, and that goes not just for corona, but for the flu and other things. And so if anything, the society's having a kick in the keister about, hey, you dirty bugger,
Right.
Clean up your act, other people around here. So, I want people to just make sure you're informed, you're getting good information, and that helps you from panicking and getting crazy about this thing. And the thing is, we're right up against spring break for school, which is a good thing. We start spring break early, extend it, do some schooling from home until we get through this thing. And, we just want to be good citizens in this fight with the government. If they're saying, do these things, social distancing, all these things, they're all good practices till this thing they get a handle on it.
Right.
And can squash it. And I think the problem was we got in the fight after we got hit a few times. It was like, what's going on here? And so I think they're doing a good job there was a big curve initially.
Right.
I think they're really starting to lessen that curve with the actions they're taking. Though some people might think they're drastic, I think they're necessary. And once we get to the other side of this thing, what we know, was it right or wrong?
Well, yeah, I just see a lot of things that are going to change now in between people and the way that they work from home, things learned through this experience as well. There's a whole bunch of things that are going to be learned in the way that we actually do business. So like, strategic operations of businesses themselves, from having your whole staff figure out, okay, how do I work from home? How do I do,
Right.
Meetings with 10, 15 people? How do we keep business going? I think a lot of things are going to come out of this that are very positive, and the way that we handle this, and we all stay together and look for the new ways to
Right.
do things and do them great.
And with this, you said earlier, preppers. So for the everyday Joe or Joan, that's where I try to take my survival training and my advice to people. For those people that don't have formal training, this don't really know what to do, and let's say, hey, hurricane season's around the corner. Mother Nature's not going to stop because there's a coronavirus going on, folks.
Of
We just
course.
had an earthquake up in Utah,
Right.
5.6, I think, up in actually Salt Lake City. So my tip to the audience is take this, learn from it, and be prepared ahead of time for something natural disaster, catastrophically worse. Have a little bit of water stockpiled into your shelves. Have some food stockpiled.
Oh, it's like
That
things
has a
in my
long shelf life because, I have a survival food line that has a 25-year shelf life. You can have it on there. You pay for it once. It's there when you need it, and that's what it's there for. It's good, nutritious food that when you need it most, you can count on it. Even with our water sources, let's say the pipes break and everyone's got you boiling water and all this other stuff. I mean, I promote a water bottle with a filter system called the Purity Water Bottle. It will kill viruses, bacteria, everything nasty that even comes out of your tap, chemicals included. So it's about getting smart and thinking about your core four: water, food, shelter, and fire, and planning for those things at whatever level you can. Let's say you're at home right now and you had to get out of the house.
right.
And you had to leave now. Let's say
Right.
you had a half an hour to grab your loved ones and, hey, I got to get out of this place and we just got to go. What would you do? What would you grab, or what could you grab just around your home? Think about water. Just get a good, nice, good sturdy pot to boil water, because boiling is always the best thing. Big bubbles, little troubles.
Right.
Grab the kitchen knives for knives so you can cut some stuff and work some stuff. Oh, I got a lighter. I got matches. Put them in a Ziploc bag. Grab the petroleum jelly, the Vaseline. Take cotton balls. Dip the cotton balls in there so you have a way of starting fire a lot easier when you're starting to make fire. Just have a plan. Write some things down on paper that are very simple. You don't have to be a great survivalist to know these things, but if you just think about it with common sense, or I like to call it Skullcrusher Sense because of my nickname, Skullcrusher.
Right.
It's not that hard. The information's out there. I'm getting ready to ramp my YouTube channel up and really start working hard on survival for the everyday Joe or Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been that way with everybody, and especially, in your and I conversations over the years, and trying to get everybody to understand. It's like, for a lot of my friends, they're like, well, heck, I don't even know how to cook food. I mean, they don't even use their kitchens. I mean, they eat out for everything in the world. It's like, okay, so what do? You got to feed your family and the like of that. But I think a lot of people are going to wake up and say, yeah, I need to start taking more cooking lessons. I need to really start to know how to do some stuff, because, wow, I never saw this coming.
Hey, out there in the bush, I always say, if you burn it, everything tastes like burnt popcorn. So
exactly.
eat away.
Go ahead, eat the shrubs, eat the roots, eat the grubs. They're all good for you. But there's a long list of things that could actually make you sick too, and that's a
oh yeah,
figure it out on your own kind of thing when you're out there doing it. I mean, if it's got weird colors,
there's edibility tests and stuff like that.
Right.
Some simple knowledge. You don't have, like I said, you don't have to be, a Cody Lundeen or a Dave Canterbury or an Ed Stafford to get out there, and you can gain there's a lot of knowledge these days on YouTube, on the internet, with basic information. There's a lot of schools out there, and some are affordable and some aren't. Now that survival's become kind of cool and neat, I tell people, when you get your information in, be informed. Check out the instructor or the school and make sure wherever you get your information from, online or whatever, that they've got experience. They've got a lot of time under their belt, or we call dirt time, out there in the bush doing these things, because there's a lot of charlatan survivalists out there teaching skills that are going to actually be bad for you, that aren't correct. And
right.
These are life-saving skills, and I really get mad when I see somebody teaching something that's really not right or practical, because you're gonna cause someone to get hurt.
Yeah, like with you in our conversations, and then my other good friend, Michael Hawk. You know, we talk about this all the time. It's like, you know, I don't downplay anybody that's actually truly gone through survival training and the like of that, but for the guys out there trying to make a buck off of it, you know, from that aspect, and really doing a disservice to the people that truthfully want to learn this thing, I feel you on that one too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
people ask me stuff all the time, and I'm like, well, you know, it might work for me, but I'm not necessarily saying it's going to work for you because we got two
right,
different makeups. You throw me in the jungle and throw you in the jungle does not necessarily mean what I tell you is going to make you survive. Because
right,
for the most part of everything, it's the mental aspect of it and
yeah.
being able to cope mentally from the get. The rest of it is just survival and the need to say, hey, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to feed myself, shelter, and do all that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And some bodies adapt more than others. Like for myself, for years, I was an athlete and I trained dehydrated, so that when I did get a sip of water or whatever at a long distance running point, it was like nitroglycerin. I was like, yeah. And
Right.
I've been training my organs to be able to handle, reduced water intake. I also, as a survivor, started doing that because the law of three says, hey, I can't go normal person can't go more than 3 days without water. Uh, Environmental conditions may hasten that, and you may be a day and a half based on where you're at because you're
Right.
losing water faster. But I always practice to try and stretch that out to 5 days on minimal water. That way, just in case, I don't get water right away or figure out a way, like to get fire going to purify it right away, I'll be okay. And there's some physicists or some fitness folks and some nutritionists and doctors out there say that's stupid, you're damaging your stuff. But I believe the human body is an amazing thing, and when trained properly and done correctly, it can adapt itself to what's going on. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, like you said,
Right.
but this is something I practice. I drink a lot of bad water out there, indigenous water, so that if I'm in the area long enough, if I've taken in some of the nasties there, it's the same stuff that's on the dirt, whatever. It helps my body start building up antibodies to fight whatever germs are in the area, so I don't get sick.
Of course, and
And
that's always the most important thing. Well, on all my travels, whether I'm in Guatemala, Venezuela, I'm in the Caribbean, I'm in
yes,
islands or anything, just from eating some produce, okay, you get those bugs, but then you got to fight your way through it, not try to effectively cover it up with everything and let the body just do its course. And it'll, next time I go or the next time I get around that, my body's
yeah,
built up an immunity to it. And that's, the biggest thing for me is like I look at people that over antibiotic or over steroid their children and stuff like that. I think that all the flu shots or things are important to keep viruses and people getting sick. I think it's important, but at the same time, there's over medication too that I think is wrong as well.
yeah,
People just like always take an antibiotic as soon as they do that, and or not complete this series of antibiotics and don't do that because that doesn't do your body any good either if you don't complete the antibiotic series that a doctor would give you. So I don't know. I'd say it's a curious time within everything that's going on. I think we're learning a lot as people, on a global level, because this isn't just one spot. This
yeah,
is,
yeah. You're right.
in Italy last night, the night before, is 400 people died all in one night. So
Yeah,
there
it's
is a very
terrible.
serious attitude to this. And the one thing that I saw is that at first they said that this problem was just for like people 60 and above, but in the U.S. the numbers are showing that they're in the teenagers and young adults are being more affected than 60 and above. So I really don't think that we have a thumb on the heartbeat of it yet, and what the capabilities of this mutating or doing what it's doing. As I'm not a doctor, nor are you, but I just go by from listening to what's being said on the news, but taking it seriously and just sitting back and being told what the right thing to do is. So like with you, what do you got coming up now? Are you doing anything now? Or are you just sitting tight, or are you
Yeah, no.
routine?
One last point to close out that segment. I mean, I agree with you, Chef, on all levels. This is a global problem at the moment, and unless the nations get together and cooperate to fight through this thing, they'll get it under control. Because if it's morphing, who knows what it could morph into? It could morph into something way worse. We don't
Right.
want that. So again, folks, go to coronavirus.gov and get some great answers. The government has it all spelled out there, common sense, skull crushing sense stuff, and you'll be straight. And again, for me, the thing I didn't see coming out of getting on TV and being a TV survivalist was outside of showing people how to get out of bad days through survival and and mental toughness was that I was inspiring so many people to get after life, apply these things to their everyday life, be better for it, and get through some tough times. So I'm really humbled by that. Well, for me, I'm on the short list for several different TV shows. I'm hoping to work some of those out. I've just partnered up with a friend to build a company called Extreme 33. And what we're going to be doing with Extreme 33 is pitching different kinds of TV show ideas and getting into some production stuff on some things that are near and dear to my heart and my partner's heart, particularly things like global warming and the environmental impact of man on the world and this planet. I'm not saying I'm one way or the other. You know,
Right.
I'm that guy that's, you got the coin here, tails or
Right.
heads. I'm the guy right on that middle, on the rim. I'm a rim runner. Till I find out for sure for myself, I'm not saying one way or the other. So that's, and I found a like-minded buddy and partner in this. So that's something we're looking at. It's a really exciting project. So once filming gets back up and running after this thing, we're looking at pushing that. I'm going to continue. I write for several magazines like Knives Illustrated, American Survival Guide, and a few others. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm looking at a book to come out hopefully by the end of the year. Still teaching survival and trekking. You can go to my website, ejsynder.com. Call me, contact me. I do a lot of one-on-one. I negotiate pricing. I'm very reasonable. I do appearances at different shows. Well, that's kind of stopped now for a little while.
Right. We're all on hold.
So all my shows I had to cancel, gun shows and trade shows, because I didn't cancel them. They just canceled based on what's going on. And so I just released a food line. You can go to my website under the gear tab, and you can look at that for survival foods. We've got a big sale going on for that right now. It's flying off the shelf. We can't.
I'm sure.
We're having trouble just keeping it stockpiled because of just people are buying it up like super quick. So we still got some supplies left. So go on my website or go to Aftershock Preparedness and look for EJ Skullcrusher Snyder, and you can get the food there. I've got a lot of other good gear I support. This Saturday, I'm going to be appearing in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The 21st, we're opening up Prepper Jack's. Just in time for this whole thing. It's just a coincidence that this is going on at a time where we're opening up only the second store of its kind in the state, and it's right here in Fayetteville, right next to Fort Bragg. And so it's different than these military surplus stores in town. So pretty excited about that. We're going to get that going so people can get the things they need to take care of their needs when bad days come. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. You can reach me out on Twitter or Instagram at EJ Snyder333, or go to my Facebook page, like me there, EJ Skullcrusher Snyder. And stay tuned, because my YouTube channel is about to ramp up this summer, and we're going to be bringing you all things skull-crushing sense.
It's always great to have, conversations with you, because your excitement, your passion, and just, as you said, and the takeaway with this is that, for you, for me, and the guys like us, it's the reward of being able to inspire people to do great things and to believe in themselves, and the self-esteem, I think, is one of the biggest things, to be the identity, to be you, not what everybody else thinks you should be, or follow something that your heart's not in it. Do what you believe, do what makes you feel good, and keep doing that, and you're going to live your best life. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, do what you love. You never work a day in your life.
Exactly. You're always on vacation. Well, like I say, AJ, I know you're busy. I'm going to let you get on and do the rest of your day, keeping real with what it is. And
yeah, it's been awesome, man. Rolling. And thanks for having me on your podcast here. And to all of America, man, just hug each other. Enjoy your loved ones. You got a really rare moment of time to really.
Yeah, family time is big right now.
Love your family. Enjoy them. The little ones grow up so fast. My kids are full-grown adults now, and it just seemed to go like that. So enjoy the time with the family. Hug each other close to the ones you love, and hug them tighter. And stay safe out there. Be smart, and just kind of do the common or the skull-crushing sense thing, and do the things they're telling you. And we'll all get through this together, because you know what? We're America.
Exactly.
And America's been kicked in the face time and time again through war, through economic hard times, and through viruses. And we will get through this too.
Definitely so. Well, everybody, that's that's a wrap on this one. And you can catch EJ at all the different places that he just gave out, but we will have links to the blog page, and you'll see it all the way across social media. And the links to when the show is going to be there, and you're going to see everything that's really good for everything with YouTube channel for EJ, and I've got mine going too. But do check it out. And EJ, once again, man, it's great. And it's always an honor to talk to you, and I'm really glad that we have this time to talk today and share with the audience, some sensible thoughts and a way to feel and a way to go about and approach their lives.
Survive on, America. Survive on. This is EJ Skullcrusher Snyder saying, yeah!
I love it.
Get after it.
All right.